ministry. This is coming more toward the middle. And Acts 10, he says, "Brethren, my heart's desire and prayer for Israel, for my brethren, is that they might be saved." Yeah. He doesn't want them to become Gentile. It's not the point. It's not that kind of, that type of conversionist thing. He wants them to understand and come to what the prophets have been talking about. The prophets who all the time were saying, "Shuv, turn, turn." He's trying to give them a shuv in the right direction. He wants them to come back to the living God.
You know, Kaiser, I believe that the entire Gentile mission of Paul was only a roundabout way to convince his brethren, the Jews. His ultimate aim was not the conversion of the Gentiles. That was God's plan.
Yes.
That Paul wanted ultimately to impress his brethren, and since he couldn't do it directly, he figured he'll convert all the Gentiles, and then the Jews, as he says in Romans 11, would ultimately emulate the Gentiles. So the Gentiles who would show their Christian love of their neighbor in such a convincing, almost infectious manner, would infect the Jews. I'm sorry to say that 18 centuries of Christian love towards the Jews have failed to produce that effect, because that Christian love he suggested to the Gentile Christians to show towards their Jewish brethren has failed to materialize almost totally.
Fortunately not altogether, but you are too correct, and for that you are owed an apology. And I would be the first to say that the Christian community has a lot to eat on that one, and that must be said very, very clearly. But you're exactly correct on Romans 11. He said, "I want to provoke my people to jealousy." And I agree with you wholeheartedly on that.
Welcome. We're glad that you joined us this week, and we are talking with two scholars, one representing Orthodox Judaism and another one representing Orthodox Christianity, on the topic, is there evidence in the Hebrew Scriptures concerning the Messiah that either points to Jesus or is it somebody else? What is that evidence? And the point that I do not intellectually understand, Dr. Lapide, and I need your help. And this is one of those tough questions that between friends, I got to tell you, it's a tough one, and we're going to be friends after this, okay? Although we'll probably disagree in the meantime. And here it is. And that is, here I hear you saying that Jesus is the Messiah. He's been approved by God for the Gentiles, and he's been approved by the resurrection. All right? And I hear Jesus' words saying, "I am the way, the truth, and the life. No man comes unto the Father but by me." I hear Paul reiterating that and saying the gospel is for the Jew first and also for the Greek. All right? I don't hear Jesus or Paul or the disciples excluding the Jewish brethren. That Jesus is for them the one they've been waiting for. Even though it might be a two-act play, the thing is that it's important, the first act.
Well, if you look at the Christian primitive community in Jerusalem after Easter Sunday and the Ascension, and those are the most trustworthy witnesses we have, Paul tells us that they concluded every divine service with the word Maranatha. Oh Lord, do come back. In other words, to them, and nobody knew Jesus better and his intentions better than they. So then the mission Jesus wanted to accomplish was far from finished. Why all this prayer for his return if he was the Messiah already? For them he was the Messiah in potential, the one who had given an earnest money of ultimately becoming the Messiah. But they never say in the entire New Testament, and that's strange, parousia, the hope of all the Christians, doesn't mean return. It means in Greek simply arrival. And the first Christians in Jerusalem after Easter prayed, "Oh Lord, come." They didn't say come back. The only explanation to this strange point I have is they didn't want to him to come back the way they had met him before, as the son of a carpenter and an itinerant rabbi, a God-obsessed person who was able to transmit his faith by mere irradiation. They wanted him back as the Son of Man on the clouds of heaven, as the real Messiah who would reign and rule and usher in the kingdom. That's why they never prayed for his return. And the only word in the New Testament is, "Oh, do come," because they wanted him in a new transfiguration.
Dr. Kaiser?
Not quite, I would say. I like you, but I think that one is missing the point. Because I think in John chapter 6, they wanted to make him king. There was, at the feeding of the 5,000, they said, this is it. If we have someone here that can multiply bread like this, what could he do with weapons? We've got the supply line problem licked. Let's take Rome on right now. But Jesus would not. Now, why is it that he moves out of what could have been the most wonderful moment for the introduction of the Messianic kingdom right then and there? Because he had to take care of the suffering part. He had to take care of the sin problem. He had to go to the cross first. And then the longing still of the community is, Maranatha, even so, come. And they want him to come. It's true, they don't use the words come back, because this had been the heart of the Messianic, the Jewish expectation. It is when righteousness comes, when justice comes, when mercy, when the living God himself is the only fair person whom this earth has ever seen to rule and to reign. So it still remains the cry of the church, even after he had come, had taken care of the sin problem. Then the question is, so when will you come back? Come quickly, Lord Jesus. Even so, come quickly.
I agree.
Let's get a question here.
Yes. Christ said in promising to come back, "I am the way, the truth, and the life. No man, Jew, Greek, no man, comes to the Father but by me." Peter, a Jew, speaking to other Jews, said, "This same Jesus whom you killed, God has made both Lord and Christ." The word that was translated from the Septuagint, or from the Hebrew, Mosiah, to be Christos, Christ. It means the same thing. And he says, he's the Christ.
What's the question?
The question is, in scanning all of your knowledge of the Hebrew Old Testament, is there anything that disqualifies Jesus Christ as being the Messiah of the Jews too? Thank you.
I'm afraid so. You see, my dear friend, Messiah is a Hebrew word. Messianism